Hi guys, in this tutorial we are going to see what is Spring Boot Actuator and what is the use of it. Normally Spring Boot Actuator we are using to monitor our application in each environment. So that's why it's the popular features of Spring Boot, and it is one of the key component of Spring Boot we can say. So first we will see the basic about the actuator concept, then we will differentiate what is the enhancement they released in Spring Boot 2 version and how it differ from version 1 of Spring Boot. So let's create one Spring Boot application first. So mention the artifact ID actuator, then change the description here, Spring Boot actuator 2.x, change the package actuator.api. Okay, now add the required dependency. I am adding DevTools, I am adding Lombok, I am adding Wave. Then let me add the actuator. Okay, what else? DevTools. Okay, let's import this application. Application imported successfully. Let's check in POM. What are the dependencies we added? Spring Boot Starter Actuator, Web, DevTools and Lombok. Okay, and this version is 1.5.12. So let's change it to 2.0.1. 2.0.1. Okay, now let's update this. Okay, now let's write one small endpoint so that we will check the default URL provided by the actuator to check our health metrics and regarding our beans and info. What are the predefined endpoint provided by actuator to monitor our application? We'll check that. So create a controller, create a class, something my controller, annotate at the rest controller. Now write the one small endpoint so that we'll expose it. Public string test endpoint. I'm returning one dummy value, Spring Boot Actuator example, and map one URL. I am using get mapping, giving the URL test, let it be test. Okay, let's specify one root URL, request mapping. Now give the Spring Boot Actuator. Okay, now let's run our application so that we will check the default endpoint provided by the actuator. you can check here our get endpoint mapped here, and it's giving only two endpoint. One is the actuator health and another one is the actuator info. This is the new concept introduced in Spring Boot version 2. Only these two is like enable for us as of now, but in version 1 it will mapped uh, like info, beans and thread DOMs, all those endpoints are enabled by default. So let's check these two, then we will find a approach and we will implement that how to enable all the endpoint in version 2. Now let's copy the URL, open the postman http localhost 8080. This is our domain endpoint. You are getting the response. So now let's check the actuator endpoints, actuator health and actuator info. Okay, now let's check the health. It will display up. Okay, and then info, it's giving empty. So now if I'll access like beans or else mappings, it won't give anything like 404 as this endpoint is not enabled yet. So to enable rest of all endpoint provided by actuator, we need to exclude them in properties file. Let's write management dot endpoint dot web dot expose exclude, sorry, we need to include them, include all. Okay, now as we added dev tools, our application will be restart automatically. Let's refresh once. Let's restart. Why it's not boosted up? Now you can check here, it's mapping 14 endpoints. These are the endpoints as we included them in our properties file manually. This is one of the difference in version 1 and version 2 of Spring Boot Actuator concept. So now test one by one. Health, up, let's test our mappings. Now it will give all the mappings. Now test beans. Okay, now test thread dumps. What is that URL? Thread dump. Okay, I append s, remove it. Okay, thread name, and these are some like related to thread. Similar way we can check like environment. Okay, these are the environment related Java and system like 64 or 32 bit, and what are the JDK I am using, JRE 1.8. It will give all the environment details. This is kind of system properties. So let's test schedule task. You can test. We don't have any scheduler here, so we didn't mention any fixed delay or cron expression, so these are fields. So once we have any schedule job in our application with some specific time interval or time limit, if you specify, then this value we can able to see here. Okay, so instead of use this predefined health matrix, this health matrix, we can customize our own health matrix. Suppose in case of, suppose I am consuming one client, and based on that we need to perform our business. So that is my first primary logic, and that application is off and I am trying to access. So in that case my application will not work. So in similar case we want to implement one health indicator, customized health indicator. So how to create our customized health indicator? So let's create one package. Let's copy that, change the package name health. So here like I want to implement, I am not going to consume any rest resource. Here I want to show you like based on my internet connection of my local machine, if internet is up, then I want to specify my like customize health matrix. If it is off, then I want to pass the different message. So let's implement the same. Create a class internet health matrix. Okay, this is a class, so annotate component. Why this not coming? It's coming. Let's control shift O. Yes, and implements it from health indicator. Override the health method. Then here I want to write one, like I want to check my internet connection. So let's write one private method boolean check internet. Okay, so write a flag. Now let's this will throw the javanet exception, so handle it. Okay, now here we need to create the url. Url equal to new url of, pass any like url. Here I am giving google, https www.google.com. Okay, now create the url connection equal to url dot open connection. Okay, now connection dot connect. Okay, here I want to set the flag true if this connection is established properly, else in catch return the flag false. Now return this. Okay, now here create the health object equal to null. Okay, now write like I am using ternary operator here. If check internet if check internet equal to true, then return like health dot up dot write some method write w with details. If this will true, then write with details success code active some message internet connection dot build. Okay, similar way, if it is false, then copy the same, okay, and make it down error code, then inactive internet connection, return the health. Okay, HEALTH. Instead of assign it to new variable, I am directly returning the same. Okay, this ternary operator same like the if else. Okay, what is the error? Add the semicolon. Okay, so if internet connection, this will return the true, then we are setting the success code. If it is fail, then health down with error code. Okay, now to enable this custom health metrics indicator in Spring Boot Actuator, we need to mention some properties in our application.properties file. Management dot endpoint dot health show details always. Okay, now let's check, let's run our application. We'll check our custom health metrics. I have the internet connection on now, so it will give now the success code. Okay, now let's type health. You can check here, we are getting our custom response. Okay, success code active internet connection. Let me off my internet. Okay, now let's hit, we are getting inactive internet connection. Okay, similar way, as you can mark here, there are 14 endpoints, those are provided by actuator. Suppose in my project I have some requirement, I want to customize my specific endpoint. Instead of use this actuator beans health conditions, I want to specify my own endpoint. So that also we can do, and that the approach of doing custom endpoint is vary in version 1 and in version 2. In version 1 we need to like implements from endpoint is one interface provided by in version 1, and or else we can use the abstract endpoint. But in version 2 there is a approach we can use, we can achieve this using only annotation. Okay, now let's see how we can create our own custom endpoint. Create a package, stop the server, create a class like my endpoint, Okay, here to specify this is my custom endpoint, we need to annotate endpoint. Okay, and we need to specify the URL. I'm giving Java techie, and we need to enable it. By default we need to enable it true. Okay, so let's create one custom class so that we can give our response the expected format. Class my endpoint response. Okay, create some field like private int id, private string name, private string status. Okay, now as I added Lombok, I am using Lombok provided annotation. Okay, all are constructor, add the no are constructor. Now create a method who will return this our custom object, custom response. Okay, you can mention any method name. Return new my endpoint response. ID I am giving something like name, I am giving this YouTube channel Java Techie, giving the status as active. Okay, I am returning some dummy value to check whether my custom endpoint is working or not. Here we need to write read operation. Okay, similar way there is write operation and delete operation also there. Here we just want to display the custom response. Okay, and as this is a class, annotate @component. Okay, we done with our custom endpoint. Now let's run our application so that we will check whether this ID is mapped or not. Now run our application. You can check here this Java Techie is our custom endpoint. It's mapped successfully. Now let's hit this URL. Okay, it's giving the dummy response which we manually added. Okay, similar way based on business we can specify our own custom endpoint with desired response field. Okay, so this is the way we can use the Spring Boot Actuator to monitor our application in each environment, and this is the implementation of Spring Boot version 2. And there is one more easy way that is the micrometer, and this micrometer dependency part of the actuator, so that will show you the like atlas and some part of graphical view. So I will post in my next video on a micrometer. And that's it about this particular video. If anyone have any doubt or concern, you can add a comment on video section. And if anyone not subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe it. Thanks for watching this video.